Today, I'm going to explain the 7 deadly sins: pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, gluttony, and lust. I'm going to start with pride, because in many ways it leads to the other sins. Pride, most fundamentally, thinks it's perfect. As a result, if pride is perfect, then it must be able to do anything, for not being able to do something would be an imperfection. Similarly, nothing it does can be wrong, for doing something wrong would also indicate flaws. So if pride can do anything and nothing it does is wrong, then it can and will do everything, ignoring whether or not it should be done. Furthermore, since pride considers itself perfect, everyone else is infinitely more flawed than it is, so anything someone else does will be flawed. For this reason, pride considers itself infinitely better than everyone else. It will thus do everything for itself. Letting someone else do it would just create flaws. This makes pride relatively lonely, as even interacting with other flawed people would be a waste of its time. Anything they could do, pride can do better. Next on the list is envy, which is almost the opposite of pride. Both of these rely on the idea that people can do anything. Pride is happy to think that it is doing everything, while envy is upset knowing that it isn't. Envy doesn't take into account differences between people and situations, or whether it actually wants to do the thing. Simply, envy must be doing everything that can be done. This leads to 2 main results. In the first, envy does the thing, but really poorly. If envy sees someone creating amazing works of art, envy will attempt to make some drawings. Envy will then demand that its scribblings be counted as art, leading to a degradation of art as a whole. In this way, the quality of anything envy gets involved with collapses. Similarly, the second result of envy is to outright destroy the thing. If someone is using a cello, and envy can't, then it will seek to destroy all cellos. Envy will not live with things it cannot do. Up next is wrath, which is irrational anger. It need not be directed at anything. In fact, wrath is often just flung outward in every direction. Something has angered wrath, and so it seeks to punish everyone for it. Wrath can also be directed if someone or something insults wrath. Through twisted logic, wrath will find the root cause of its suffering, make this entity the enemy, and destroy it. Note that wrath is irrational anger. It is a response exceeding what has happened. Getting mad at someone for totaling your car is fine. Wanting to slaughter them is not. Pride and envy can both lead to wrath. Pride, when it is suggested that pride is not perfect, and envy when it finds yet another thing it isn't doing. In this way, wrath forms the action part of these sins, needing to exact revenge on supposed wrongdoings. Wrath seeks excessive justice, violently. Sloth, at its most base form, does not want to do anything. There are a few causes of this, one of which is apathy. If nothing really matters, why bother putting in effort? Might as well just sit around and relax. Likewise, sloth might actually care about some things, but realize how immensely difficult, almost impossible they might be. Why waste effort trying to do something that will inevitably fail? As you might expect, these attitudes lead to an eventual collapse of society. If everyone decides that nothing is worth doing, then nothing will get done, and what does get done will be done very poorly. Why put an effort to something that might not even work. This leads to a degradation in quality of everything. Another result of sloth is the desire for instant gratification, for getting enjoyment by doing nothing. After all, doing something may only lead to failure. Sloth finds it better to get guaranteed, if hollow, enjoyment. Sloth avoids effort, for it can only lead to waste. Greed is the desire to own. It does not really care about the objects themselves, it merely likes having them. For this reason, money is often considered the perfect representation of greed. Money by itself is useless. It cannot be used for food, clothing, or shelter. All money does is represent that you have the capacity to get a lot of things. Money represents wealth, but only because we say it does. Greed also must own everything, have more money than everyone else. If it sees something it does not have, it will become greed's undying desire to obtain that thing. In this way, greed parallels envy. Envy wants to destroy what it does not have. Greed simply seeks to possess it. This attitude eventually leads to treating people as objects. People become a means to an end, a way to get more stuff. Greed has wealth for the sake of wealth. As a contrast to greed, we have gluttony. Whereas greed focuses on simply owning, gluttony focuses on excessive consumption. Gluttony is not, mind you, just consuming things. You need to consume some things, like food or water, to survive. This is perfectly fine. Gluttony is devouring, to the point of waste. It does not ingest because it needs or even wants to. Gluttony consumes because it can. This is why food is often associated with gluttony. Gluttony will eat past the point of being full, to the point where everything else it swallows just gets wasted. There is no longer joy associated with the act of feasting. It simply becomes an obsession to feast. All of gluttony's life is focused around consumption. Gluttony consumes because something is there. Lust needs to satisfy its cravings. It seeks enjoyment without truly caring. In this way, lust is similar to gluttony. Gluttony, however, is about filling needs excessively. Lust is about fulfilling wants. It is for this reason that lust is tied to sexual behavior, especially exotic forms of it. Now, yes, sex is needed for a species to survive, but survival only requires basic reproduction. When reproduction is taken out of sex, it simply becomes a way to fulfill desires. Lust is pleasure without purpose. Now, while this is a good representation, lust does not need to be sexual, but rather a satisfaction of anything lust wants. This could be a lust for power, fame, or something else that it does not actually need. Lust forms the desire part of greed in this way. Lust only cares about what can bring it satisfaction. These are the 7 deadly sins: pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, gluttony, and lust. They are all connected with each other in some fashion. For example, pride thinks it has everything. Envy finds something it does not have. Greed demands that it must have the thing. Lust attempts to get pleasure out of it, but gluttony will waste it. Sloth doesn't put in the effort to get more, and so wrath will attempt to destroy the thing. In each situation, the sin really only leads to more misery. It is for this reason that they're considered the deadly sins, since no good is thought to come out of them. Nevertheless, hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned something, and see ya.